Welcome my fellow spacemen to Starfield, and this is a game with 16 times the detail of Skyrim in space. If you could even run the details on launch, because I played the game on release and just couldn't bear to stay for more. Every game outlet is raving about how this game runs great on their company expense PCs. And so I had to try it with my budget RTX 3070 laptop to see if they were right. Well, it's a great game, but I nearly projectile vomited a few too many times as the frame drops. The optimization on launch is just not good, Todd. Not good. So, I enter the coal mines with this woman and this guy I'll probably call Chad, as she gets me to mine for a bunch of rocks with lasers. Totally haven't seen this before in the video game. Then, proceed to spend another 20 minutes attempting to optimize the settings of the game. And you don't pay full AAA price for a game that looks like it came out on the NES. So I wanted that balance between graphics and performance. And Todd basically just came out of the screen and slapped me in the face because, too bad, there's no FPS settings, no exclusive full screen option, and Todd would probably just tell you
to upgrade your PC for this game.
What upgrades, Todd? It's a 30 series that runs every single game under the sun except this game. So clearly, something is wrong. And so I tough it out. Give the game a chance because the graphics look alright for a game in 2018 by the time I get about 50 FPS on low to medium settings. Mind you, this is even with the DLSS2 mod from Pure Dark as well, so it should be running far better than this unless I messed it up somehow. Which I probably did because I was on a ticking timeline before I could get rid of the game. Then I touch a space relic and end up tripping absolute balls, which I played a You Didn't Have to Cut Me Off song, except I get copyright struck, so you get this instead. No matter how terribly optimized the game is though, the biggest sin is the fact that the face of the peak male specimen is unattainable. As funny as it gets seeing everyone go crazy over this one meme. And this was as close as we got to truly reaching a fraction of our video game savior with his 11-year-in-a-row releases of Skyrim on every single platform imaginable. And now that we have achieved CEO status, we find out that this guy wants to kidnap us from our 9-to-5 job so that we can go to space with him to become a space explorer with his robot friend. Only for us to get tracked down to the mining colony and attacked by space pirates. And believe me, playing this at 1080p at 40 FPS on a PC is jarring to say the least, as someone who's gotten way too acclimatized to 60 FPS on pretty much every single FPS game I've ever played. And the gunplay turned into a painful mess of attempting to optimize the game settings every 5 seconds mid-combat, until it sort of worked out and I ended up at about 50 FPS. After an hour of attempting to complete the tutorial though, I finally reached this point where this guy tosses me his ship to fly off into space on my own. Me, a random Todd Howard from the coal mines with zero experience in flying shit. Oh wait, that was part of my backstory, wasn't it? I have some experience with flying a ship then, but I don't remember any of it. Ship combat? It's great. The least laggy time I had in the game was in space, and I'm just plain happy about that. You can reroute power from your weapons and shields into other stuff, and it's an overall cool experience blasting down these 3 starships. Except I forgot which button it was to loot the remains, so I left them floating around in space and headed off to my next planet. And you guessed it, it got worse. The FPS tanked to about 30 to 40 FPS, and so more graphics tweaking ensued. Then I walked right into a dark building only for my flashlight to stop working entirely throughout the entire sequence, so I blindly shot a bunch of people in the dark like I was playing laser tag. Except the neon lights were all missing and they weren't wearing those heavy sweaty vests that were worn by about 100 other people throughout the day. Unfortunately, you are gonna have to take my word for it because I was just that annoyed with the game that I forgot to record it entirely. Was at this point I knew the game was just not optimized enough to warrant this much grief. And so, after 2 hours of this, I got rid of the game. It just isn't good for a budget gamer, or even someone who's invested in a 30 series card.
It doesn't just work.
I'm also aware a lot of different fixes, mods, and even paywalled mods have popped up in the last week or so since I played the game, and you might have more luck. But I'm gonna stand my ground here and not let Todd keep the $69.99 US for this game on release until the game has been properly fixed by both the devs and the modders. At which point it would probably cost me half the price so I can save that money to, ironically, afford that GPU upgrade Todd recommended. There's plenty of complaints about its performance as well as good news about DLSS support, so no, this experience is, by all means, no isolated case. It's a laughable attempt at video game optimization by yet another AAA title with its over-reliance on AI upscaling as an excuse not to optimize the game. A great example, this was probably Remnant 2, but at least that game played fine on release. My recommendation would be to get that instead for half the price of Starfield and wait patiently for Starfield to get a discount on the game before you actually get it. Just like any other Bethesda game. And what this game has basically proven is that I will be sticking to not pre-ordering games as I always have, and advise you do not pre-order any games either, because the only game I will or ever have pre-ordered to this day was Doom Eternal back in 2020, and that was the only time a game met so many expectations to the point I wasn't even sure when the game dropped in price within the next couple of years. And by no means am I denying that Starfield is a great game. But the fact that this game runs terribly on release is a huge shame, and I hope this someday becomes a wake-up call to stop corporate from rushing overworked devs to make games, which is highly unlikely because of the greedy nature of corporate decisions. Bethesda's reliance on modders to optimize their games is just not good practice, and I am tired of saying it's alright for them to do this for a game that doesn't run properly out of the box. I only have one rational explanation as to why bug fixes over the span of a few years is a viable strategy. Because the devs are just trying to get rid of the deadline so they can get the well-needed time to upgrade the game while sating the hungry corporate who just wants the game out as soon as possible to earn money. Because time heals wounds, and the embarrassment of the previous video game disaster of old will soon be forgotten and replaced by the next one. As negative as I sound, I have my faith that this game will run better in the foreseeable future. But there's no way in hell I'm paying full price for a Bethesda game unless they actually change their horrible ways. But as always though, stay safe, stay humble, and do not pre-order any games. Be better. This is the Aninite, and we will see you next time.